I welcome all the important delegates and the panelists for the first webinar of YPLBCT, Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake Bird Conservation Trust. And with us, we have the two eminent advisors and guide who had been helping Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake and Bird Conservation Trust, Dr. Chanakya Vaisalaji and Dr. S. Subramanyas, to build this lake according to ornithologist and environmentalist. A completely unique lake, out-of-box lake, and the first urban bird reserve. And with the efforts of our chairman and his team and the two advisors and the people in and around neighboring trust, this bird lake was declared as bird reserve in 2017. So as we need to make aware the people around that how this lake goes, we have the eminent person, Dr. S. Subramanyas sir, who will be speaking with. But before going into that, I would like to connect to our chairman of Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake Bird Conservation Trust, Dr. K. Sanguni, and eminent professor of physics, got interested into environment and nature and made people to hold hand together to raise beyond and get this lake declared as bird reserve. I now request the speaker of the day, Dr. S. Subramanyas, known as Subbu, fondly in the birding circles. He has been studying birds for over 4 decades. Initially, he worked with the Bombay Natural History Society, Mumbai, in the projects headed by the eminent ornithologist, Dr. Salim Ali, during 1980 to 81. He did his doctoral studies in agricultural ornithology and worked at the University of Agricultural Sciences in Bangalore. Thereafter, he worked on the Red Data book, The Threatened Birds of Asia, at the BirdLife International, Cambridge, UK, and has compiled details on the herons in India and helped in their conservation. He has also played a key role in the establishment of bird sanctuaries and reserves. After his retirement in 2018, he undertook a dream project to follow the footsteps of Dr. Salim Ali, the Birdman of India, to reconduct his 1939 to 40 Mysore bird survey after 78 years. Presently, he works voluntarily with the Karnataka Forest Department to support its bird conservation initiative. So, wholeheartedly, we welcome you, sir, on behalf of Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake Bird Conservation Trust and the delegates and the participants in and around, to enlighten us with the histories of birds of Puttenahalli Lake at Yelahanka, North Bangalore. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Santanu. Thank you very much for the introduction. It was quite generous. So what I'm going to take you through my presentation is to tell you about how we have come by to the present day with respect to Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake, as to what all has gone by and what kind of birds that we have, and also what has happened right now with respect to what we are trying to recreate in this bird habitat, which is to be a heaven for birds way back. And there is another Puttenahalli Lake in South Bangalore. So many people mistake the Puttenahalli Lake to be there the North Puttenahalli or South Puttenahalli. So we usually call it as Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake to make sure that people don't mistake between these two lakes. When the South Bangalore Puttenahalli Lake is also quite good with respect to birds. Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake is one of the typical lakes that we have in Bangalore region. And if you have looked at some of the, if you go to countryside or village side, you get to see a lake like this, as you see on the screen, which is a shallow water body. And across Deccan Plateau, you can see these lakes. And if you don't know, each and every one of these lakes are man-made. They have been created by people, mainly villagers, by putting a raised bund or a embankment across a natural stream or a low-lying area to impound water during monsoon. So this is under, usually these lakes appear in series. There is several series of lakes where the overflow of the water from one lake will flow into the lake downstream, so that you may have 20 to 30 lakes in a series. Again, several of these, several hundreds of these lakes will form a watershed. And to tell you again, each and every one of these lakes that you get to see anywhere in Deccan Plateau, they are all man-made. And these lakes have a very definite structure. That is, you have a raised bund across a low-lying area or a natural stream, and behind this embankment or bund, water usually collects. So usually you can visualize this lake as a shallow basin with concentric zones of varying water depths, with the deepest zone very close to the bund. As you move away from the bund, the depth of water keeps on decreasing. So based on this zonation, we have different kinds of birds and also aquatic vegetation growing in these tanks. And also these lakes are very seasonal. Earlier, not now, not right now. In the sense, before 1990, all the lakes that we used to find in Bangalore used to be very seasonal. That is, they would get impounded during monsoon season, and they would go invariably dry by the middle of summer, by about mid-April or so. And this cycle used to be there mainly because the villagers used to maintain these lakes. And in the downstream of the lake, the villagers used to grow paddy. So water that was used for irrigation would make the water level go dry in these lakes by mid-April. And again, once the monsoon starts, the water will start flowing again. So this is a typical structure and ecology of the lakes that we had in Bangalore area. And this is a screenshot of the shot of the Survey of India topo sheets of Doddaballapur Taluk. And if you see these gray patches, they are all the lakes in the area. And also if you see the yellow dots here, they are the villages that are found very close to the lake. So when you look at these topo sheets, you'll realize that most of the villages are found very close to lakes. And also if you work out a ratio, you find that for every lake, there are 2 villages sharing the lake, waters of the lake, indicating that creation of these lakes was very, very crucial for the spread of human population across the dry, parched plains of Deccan Plateau. And similarly, the screenshot of Survey of India, the picture of the Survey of India topo sheets of North Bangalore, and we come here, the Yelahanka lake and also the Puttenahalli lake. These are the 2 lakes. Of course, this is a more close-up of this one. And this is how the shape of Yelahanka lake is there, and also the Puttenahalli lake is there. And this is how the Google Earth shows you where these 2 lakes are. But when you go back in history, this is not exactly what you see. What you see is this is an eagle eye view of the terrain of Yelahanka area. And in those days, I'm talking about somewhere between 1537, when Bangalore was first founded by the Yelahanka Kempegoda II, the Palegar who used to live in Yelahanka. During that period, we never had these railway lines or roads leading to Doddaballapur. The whole terrain had 3 raised areas. There was one raised area here, there is another raised area here, and the larger raised area at the back of Yelahanka Lake. And the Yelahanka Lake itself extended far beyond what we see today. It is almost like as if Yelahanka Lake wore a pajama with 2 legs that was there. And the water extended right up till here in those periods. This is, I'm talking about 1533, 1537 or so. At that time, Doddaballapur was known as the Ballapur Tanda in about 1598. So there was not a Pakka road available like we see today, road leading to the Doddaballapur area. So if you look at the overhead shot, the Yelahanka Lake looked like this way back in the 16th century, early 16th century. And this is the main bund of Yelahanka Lake. And these are the 2 arms or the 2 legs of Yelahanka Lake, which extended. And also these are the shallow water areas where the deep water area was restricted to this green patch that you see here. And also, I don't know how many of you are aware of the history of Bangalore. There is one polygon watchtower on a Betterly Betta in GKVK. And this watchtower was built by Kempegowda to make sure to watch for enemies would come and attack his principality. And from this watchtower, there are records saying that people could have seen about 5-kilometer radius of area around Yelahanka. So this is just a close-up of that again. Again, come back to the lake. And so during the British period, the railway line happened. There are 2 railway lines originating from Yelahanka. One railway line goes to Dodballapur, another one goes toward Devanahalli. And this railway line bisected the lake. Then the road was built. This railway line again bisected one of the legs of Yelahanka Lake. And because of this road, we have the Puttenahalli Lake, which used to be a shallow water area, extended shallow water area of Yelahanka Lake. I'm talking about 1806. 1806 is very significant because 1806 is the time when the Bangalore cantonment was founded. The British cantonment was to be at Srirangapatnam, but Srirangapatnam, it is almost on the river bank of Kaveri, but many people died because of malaria in those periods. So they eventually shifted the cantonment, British cantonment from Srirangapatnam near in Mandya district to Bangalore. So most of the development that you see, the railway lines and roads, happened after the formation of cantonments in Bangalore area. That's exactly what I think it is. Of course, there may be, if you have, you can go back to historical records, you may find actually what happened. So what later in 70s, actor Mahmood, the Hindi comedian actor Mahmood, purchased a land, he formed a stud farm to the north of Yelahanka Lake. And he built a road from the Dodballapur Road and built a bridge that again bisected another leg of Yelahanka Lake. So what happened today is that, of course, during 80s, these 2 areas that got bisected by the roads or bridges remained as shallow water areas or reed beds. Extensively, the bulrush reeds used to grow there, and also there was not much connectivity between these 2, the Yelahanka Lake or the Puttenahalli Lake. And this is what we see today. This, the extent of Yelahanka Lake has shrunk, and also Puttenahalli Lake has remained as one portion of the remnant of the shallow water area of Yelahanka Lake. So this Puttenahalli Lake happened because of Dodballapur Lake, the road. And the people did not build Puttenahalli Lake, the villagers, like they did with the Yelahanka Lake. Of course, this is the present day scenario, 2019 Google Earth imagery, where the lake has been completely developed and we have Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake as a separate entity in this area. And in 1996, the lake got developed by Mr. C. Jairam, who retired the forest department about 2 years back as the chief wildlife warden, principal chief conservator of forest wildlife. He created these 2 islands in 1996. There is one horizontal island, another one which is in the front of the lake. And he was the first person who developed Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake in 1996. And also in 2004, of course, since late 1990s, we have been observing birds here. And in 2004, we published an article on the birds of Puttenahalli Lake. Because till that point, nobody had written anything about the birds here. And we wrote the article mainly because we were so thrilled to see the kind of bird diversity that we used to find here. At that time, we recorded about 125 species of birds and about 10 species of large water birds used to nest on the islands created by C. Jairam, which had been planted with trees. On these trees, the birds used to nest. And the kind of diversity of nesting birds that we used to see here had never been seen in the 200 years of history of Bangalore, in anywhere in the Bangalore limits. So we found the lake to be very, very significant with respect to the kind of bird species that it supported, and also kind of the nesting birds that we used to see in this area. Of course, this article is available if you want me, I can just share this article with you. Even Dr. Sangani will have a copy of this. And recently, of course, we've been since March, we've been surveying birds of the Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake. And we have recorded about 130 species so far. And these are the top 20 species that have been recorded since March, and wherein we have counted about 10,000 birds between March and 6th of October. And before, quite before, in say pre-2006, about 5,000 to 7,000 birds used to roost on the central island, the main island of Puttenahalli Lake. This I'm talking about the birds like egrets, herons, ibises, which used to come in the evenings and also stay overnight, sleeping on the trees on the islands. And it will be amazing, breathtaking spectacle if you had visited the lake in those periods. Because the water hyacinth covered the entire lake, because in those days, Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake had a very clean water compared to what it is today. Because the entire water hyacinth covered the whole lake and the surrounding areas of the islands, birds started abandoning the area from roosting. And also the islands are covered with some creepers, which are not very good for the birds to come and roost. Probably if we, in the future, if we clear off all the creepers on the islands that we have, we may even attract birds to reconsider coming and roosting here at the Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake. And some of the birds that are in very good numbers include the grey-headed swampin. I'll show you a picture of it later. And the coots are in good numbers. And oriental darter, this is probably the largest population of oriental darters that you find anywhere in Bangalore, as you see in Puttenahalli Lake. And we have grey herons nesting here. And even common mynas are, again, they come in good numbers. And the Indian cormorants and also even little cormorants are in good numbers. So these are some of the birds which are in very good numbers that we have seen during the census that we have carried out. And also the initiative for getting the lake declared as a bird sanctuary started somewhere in 2007. Soon after we published this article in the newsletter for Ornithologists, we again approached the forest department. We even prepared the proposal and gave it to them. And it has taken about nearly 8 years or so to get it done. Because we started somewhere in 2007, and the area got declared as a bird reserve in 2015. So it's about nearly 8 years it has happened to get this area declared as a bird reserve. And thanks to Mr. A.K. Verma was very, very particular that this area got declared. A.K. Verma was a principal chief conservator of forest in those times. He was very much bent upon getting the area declared as a bird reserve. And these are the 20 species that nest at Puttenahalli Lake. We have, because these are the large water birds, mainly on the to the left here, the little cormorant, the Indian cormorant, the great cormorant, oriental darter, little egret, grey heron, purple heron, cattle egret, Indian pond heron, night heron, cinnamon bittern, painted star, black-headed ibis, Eurasian spoonbills. These are all large colonial nesting water birds. When I say colonial, these birds have this habit of nesting together in groups on trees found in the islands. And also within the lake, we have another 6 species of birds nesting, like the little grebe, lesser whistling duck. We have seen once lesser whistling ducks with young ones. And also white-breasted water hen, grey-headed swampin nest regularly, and Eurasian moorhen and also coots nesting. So these are 20 species of birds that nest at Puttenahalli Lake, which you'll never ever see in any other lakes in Bangalore area. To that extent, Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake is quite unique, mainly because we have a heronry, because these herons, these large water birds usually nest in a specific area, and the specific area is called as a heronry. So we have birds nesting heronry at Puttenahalli Lake. And of course, these are this is the main island where the most of the nesting activity happens. And also this is also the main island where the birds used to come to roost in large numbers during pre-2006. And what is a heronry? Of course, heronry is usually a colony of large water birds which nest in groups on trees that grow on islands, where the surrounding water forms as an insulating medium to prevent any ground predators like cats or dogs approaching the island. To that extent, the birds feel safe, and also they happily nest on the trees like this. Of course, there are heronries you can see in India. Of course, one of the two of the closest that we have are the Rangatitu heronry that you find near Srirangpatnam, where there are a lot of birds nesting on the trees that grow on the islands in midstream of River Kaveri. And also, I don't know how many of you have gone to Kokreballu birds actually. And there again is a village setting where two species of birds, the painted storks and also the spotbill pelican, nest in good numbers in Kokreballu sanctuary. Of course, this is Nelapattu in Andhra Pradesh, where there is a huge Nelapattu lake, and there are quite a few islands overgrown with trees, and these birds find it easy to nest on these islands. So this is a typical heronry, and that way Puttenahalli Lake also is a heronry in Bangalore area. And these are the pictures of large colonial nesting water birds that you find, about 14 species that we have. Because this includes the little egret, the cat egret, the pond heron, and also night heron. This is a grey heron, purple heron. Right now the purple heron is nesting. In addition to purple herons, we have grey herons nesting, and also this is the oriental darter. Right now they have grown up penguins in the nest. And also we have black-headed ibis. They have just started nesting, and the spoonbills finished their nesting 2 months back. And the spotbill pelican attempted nesting once. Afterwards, it did not nest. And a pair of painted storks raised their young ones successfully in about 2010, around this one. Other than that, we find the little cormorant, the Indian cormorant, and also the large cormorant nesting at the Puttenahalli Lake also, on the two islands that you find in front of the nest. Of course, these nestings are probably the first ever records for Bangalore, where we had never seen these birds nesting anywhere else. Of course, now there are a few other areas in Bangalore where these birds do nest. Right now, there are at least about 5 species of birds nesting at Puttenahalli Lake on the trees in the islands. Of course, and the birds again, based on the structure that I talked about, the zonation of water with the deep water area close to the bund, and as you move away from the bund, you get shallow water area, you get zonation in the lakes. That is, we have deep water zone, shallow water zone, very shallow water zone. And based on the depth of water, we have a lot of birds occupying the nest, or using the lakes, or utilizing the lakes. And that's what we have tried to create in redesign, when we sat down to redesign Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake, which was due for renovation or regeneration. So I'll show you some of the pictures of the birds that are found in these different water zones of Yelahanka Lake. Of course, this is the spotbill pelican, which we used to see regularly, but not right now, because there are quite a lot of weeds that are there. Of course, most of the spotbill pelicans are right now will be traveling towards Kokreballu for nesting. So this spotbill pelican, of course, the name of spotbill pelican comes mainly because of the row of spots that you find on the upper mandible of the bird. And it's a huge bird which can take fish as big as 2 kilos in one swallow. That is, it scoops out the fish from the water and swallows the fish whole. And we have some ducks which occupy deep water area. And we have seen all these species at Puttenahalli Lake. It's not that I'm just making up these things. So this is a spotbill duck because of the 2 reddish spots that you find at the base of the beak, and also yellow spot at the tip of the beak. It's a bird which nests within Indian limits. It's called a resident species, and it does not migrate. Whereas the, I'm sorry, this is northern pintail. I just wrongly labeled it. This is the pintail male and pintail female, and these are northern shovelers. These come from Central Asia, and we used to get these 2 species visiting Puttenahalli Lake regularly. And another bird which you find in deep water is a little green. They nest in Puttenahalli Lake also. We have seen them nesting. There's a one of the parents and look at the young ones. They usually take a ride on the back of the parents when they are moving through water. And they really look like punks in the first week before they start growing their plumage. And we have 3 species of cormorants. And we have the large cormorant, and this is the Indian cormorant, and this is the little cormorant. All the 3 species build on the trees on the islands in Puttenahalli Lake. And these cormorants have this peculiar habit of spreading their wings after they finish a bout of fishing. These birds actively dive into water, pursue fish, and catch them. And these birds, unlike other birds, lack a gland called a preen gland, whose secretions are usually rubbed on the feathers of the wings and body by birds, and it imparts them waterproof properties, whereas these birds lack the preen gland. So once they come out of water after fishing, catching a fish, they have to necessarily dry their wings by spreading their wings wide. Then we have birds which occupy the vegetation zone, because based on the depth of water, there are 4 different types of vegetation grow in our lakes. And these vegetation include anchor floating vegetation like the water lilies, where the roots are on the lake bed, where the leaves are floating on surface of water. And one group of birds called the jasanas, they make love lakes which have such floating water lily leaves. They have, if you can see here, they have extended very long toes by which they can balance themselves on these leaves, and they happily walk around on these lily leaves. They are also called as lily trotters, just to signify the way they walk around without any difficulty. Okay, and another species that you find using the bulrush reed areas is the grey-headed swampman. So the Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake has one of the largest population of these grey-headed swampans. Because we have now Yelahanka, Voskote Lake is another place where you find a large number of these species. But 10 years back, Yelahanka Puttenahalli was the lake which had the highest density of these grey-headed swampans in Bangalore area. Of course, you get to see them in very groups, large groups. And they also nest during, summer, where the pairs usually get supported by 2 other birds. So they usually hide the support of their own sisters or brothers to help them in taking care of the young ones. So this you can see somewhere in March, April. And this is another bird which is extremely shy, called the white-breasted waterhen, and usually likes to run and hide in the vegetation the moment you set your eyes on it. It behaves as if it has seen a devil and runs into cover and vegetation as soon as it sees people around. And it makes a very loud noise which can be heard. And sometimes you wonder how come the small bird like this makes such a loud noise. This is a white-breasted waterhen. Then we have a large population of coots. But this is a blackish bird which has a white forehead and also beak. And also the term Eurasian coot indicates that there's of course, this coot is found both in Europe and Asia. And also we have 2 populations of coots, one which is migratory, another which is resident. Right now, the coots have grown up young ones at Puttenahalli Lake. Just about a month back, they were actively nesting. And Dr. Salim Ali has some photographs, even a video of the nesting of coots at Puttenahalli Lake. This is how you get to see them. You see them as blackish birds with whitish beaks. And of course, in the shallow water area where you can actually wade through, the water is less than knee deep, you find birds like the painted storks, and this is a spoonbill. The name spoonbill comes mainly because it has a spatula-shaped beak. And for the first time this year, for the first time in Bangalore area, spoonbills, about 10 nests of spoonbills were found at Puttenahalli Lake Heronry. So this is a very good record for Bangalore. So in other words, Puttenahalli is also giving some new records for Bangalore area with respect to nesting of larger colonial nesting water birds. Then we have grey herons and purple herons. Right now, the purple herons are nesting in the reed beds, the bulrush reed beds that you see within the lake. And these gray herons nest on the phoenix palms in the third island that you find at Puttenahalli Lake. They would start nesting anytime now. And we have about 4 species of egrets that you find at Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake. That is the large egret and the little median egret. There is cattle egret. There is another bird which is also called as a little egret. This is little egret, I'm sorry. The median egret is another one that you, which is the size between the little egret and also the large egret. So we get to see 4 species of egrets. And prior to 2006, about 5,000 to 7,000 of these egrets and also white ibises used to come to roost, that is sleep over during evenings at Puttenahalli Lake. And we have 2 species of ibises that you get to see. Right now, the black-headed ibises have started breeding. And this glossy ibis, which used to come all the way from Gujarat way back. Now, right through the year, you find this bird in Bangalore. The nearest area in Karnataka where these birds nest is in Bijapur. Ballari area. So very soon you'll never know that these bird may even start nesting at Puttenahalli Lake. If that happens, it will going to be another new record for Bangalore. And in the evenings, if you stay at Puttenahalli Lake between say 6 to 6:30, you find about 500 glossy ibises flying overhead over Puttenahalli Lake, going towards Yelahanka Lake. They roost on the islands in Yelahanka Lake. So you can get to see them. The name glossy comes mainly because the plumage is quite bright and really glossy. Then we have the herons, small herons. The Indian pond heron, you get to see the bird in 2 plumages. This is the breeding plumage during monsoon from April onwards. And this is the plumage of the same bird during non-breeding season, that is the winter. Again, after October, most of the cases you find to get to see pond herons like this brownish bird with a lot of streaks on the throat. Otherwise, it's a really beautiful bird, which when it changes its plumage to breeding plumage. Then we have night herons. As the name indicates, these birds are really active during night times. But at Puttenahalli Lake in the first island, you can see both adults and also these are juveniles. These night herons also nest on the main island, first island at Puttenahalli Lake. All the juveniles are like this, and also after about 2 years, they 1 or 2 years they switch over to they acquire adult plumage like this. Then we have a group of birds called as lesser whistling ducks. The name indicates these birds are usually found in groups. When they fly out, they usually start whistling when they are on wings. And we used to see about 30 to 50 of these lesser whistling teals at Puttenahalli Lake. And about 3 months back, we have seen about 30 of these. So when the water is very, very shallow, as you can see in this picture, they love very shallow water areas. Shallow, clean water areas where they would like to reside. Then in the extremely very shallow water where the water is a few inch deep, then we have other birds called the waders. These includes mainly sandpipers, plovers, and stints. This is a black-winged stilt, which used to migrate to Bangalore in till about 1996. So 2 years back, about 120 of these birds, we had about 120 nests of these birds at Yelahanka Lake, where a sandy area got exposed, and we found about nearly 200 birds, 250 birds nesting at Yelahanka Lake. So if you can create the right kind of habitat at Puttenahalli Lake, who knows? Even the black-winged stilts may come out to breed at Puttenahalli Lake also. And we get some of these sandpipers from upper reaches of Himalayas and also from Central Asia. This is a common sandpiper which comes down from say Himalayas and even from Europe. And this is a wood sandpiper or the spotted sandpiper. Then we have the birds which usually are found in wet mud areas. These are called as lapwings, and we get to see. Of course, you don't get to see yellow wattle lapwings anymore, but you get to see red wattle lapwings. If you go to the water treatment area during afternoons, you'll get to see these birds resting on the parapets of those water treatment area. This bird has a very distinct call card as which goes something like "Did he do it?" So pity to do it or something, right? So you can see these birds. They are quite almost double the size of a myna you can get to see them. Then we have, of course, we used to see all the 3 species are kingfishers at Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake. Now we usually get to see the white-throated kingfisher and common kingfisher, but the pied kingfisher has become is not seen in the recent months here. But the species found at Yelahanka Lake, it is only a short flight for it to come and visit Puttenahalli Lake. Only thing is we need to have a very clean water where it can see fish that are swimming underwater to catch them. Then of course we have other kind of birds also in addition to the water birds, like the 2 species of crows that we have in Bangalore, the jungle crow or the large-billed crow and the house crow, which are found at Puttenahalli Lake. Then we have the 3 species of mynas which have been recorded. Of course, you get to see both common myna and jungle myna here, but the Brahminy sterling, it's kind of rare in Bangalore. So once in a while, once or twice in a year, may get to see these species. Then we have 3 species of wagtails that can be seen at Puttenahalli Lake. This is a resident one, the white-browed wagtail, which breeds within Indian limits, whereas the grey wagtail usually comes from the Himalayas during winter, whereas yellow wagtail comes from Central Asia and Europe, those areas. And these 2 are migrants, whereas this one is a resident. And you will get to see the, of course, right now we have grey wagtails that are there at Puttenahalli Lake, and you get to see white-browed wagtails along the channel that takes sewage out of Puttenahalli Lake towards Yelahanka Lake. You get to see a pair or 2 of the white-browed wagtail. Then we have the bee-eaters in the far end of the lake. These birds usually catch dragonflies, all flying insects, moths, and also bees also. And we have the sunbirds, because we get to see both purple and purple-rumped sunbirds. Right now we can see purple-rumped sunbirds, which are quite common through the day. Then we have the spotted dove, which is one of the doves that you get to see at this one. Of course, we have probably one record of little brown dove, we don't know now. But if you are lucky, you may be able to get to see hoopoe at Puttenahalli Lake. Then we have 2 species of kites that can be seen all through the year at Puttenahalli Lake. And these Brahminy kites and black kites usually nest on the tall trees that are growing around the Puttenahalli Lake. Then we get to see the weaver birds in small numbers, and also pale-bill flowpeckers are found in good numbers at Puttenahalli Lake. And also during winter, you get to see barn swallows that come from upper reaches of Himalayas, middle Himalayan ranges, and to spend winter at Puttenahalli Lake. Then we get to see 2 species of barbets, the white-cheeked barbet and coppersmith. And last 6th we did a survey, and for the first time we recorded Alexandrian parakeet, the large green parakeet at Puttenahalli Lake. That's the first record for parakeet at Puttenahalli Lake. I don't have a picture of it. Because you get rosy pastors during winter, and you have munias, small birds which look like sparrows but smaller than sparrows in size. About 3 species of munias can be found at Puttenahalli Lake: the red munia, the scaly-breasted munia, and also tricolored munia. And Ashiprinia is an insect eater. It's found right through the year and also in good numbers at Puttenahalli Lake. Of course, looking at the kind of diversity of birds that we have, we decided to form Yelahanka Puttenahalli Bird Refuge, get the area declared as Yelahanka Puttenahalli Bird Refuge. Of course, the proposal was already with the Forest Department. We just had to go the Forest Department into action to get the area declared as a bird refuge. And some of us joined together and formed again the Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake Bird Conservation Trust in Bangalore. This is a logo that I have prepared. You won't believe that I prepared this using PowerPoint, just to give you the power of PowerPoint that you can use. And much of what is happening right now is because Dr. Sangani, who is the chairman, president of Yelahanka Puttenahalli Lake, and Dr. Chanakya joined hands later to design the water treatment plant in this one. And from what it was like this way back, now we have, of course, this is a plan that we executed to get the area into shape so that we have different zones of water which can be occupied by different species. And we again created one more island, 2 more islands. And this is a depth profile that we have tried to create in the island. And this happened in 2018 onward, the repair work started. Then that's where we are. Thank you.